2. Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net, mixing in a little rock and roll with my Baltimore Positive and my sports here this summer. I had an opportunity, my friends over at Soundstage having some great bands this summer. I found out Buckcherry's playing over there next week, and I'm like, hey, man, if I can get those dudes on, make it happen. So really appreciate Josh Todd for making a little bit of time out in the middle of Cleveland. Hey, man, you're in Cleveland. You take a little time off to call a guy in Baltimore before the show. I have great appreciation. That's the rock and roll capital of the world out there, Cleveland, Ohio. Right, Josh?
Yes, it is. So they say, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for sure. And it's been great. We've been on the Warpaint Tour all year. We started in January. We got a great new record. It's one of our best, and we got almost 100 shows under our belts, and so it's a fine oiled machine right now.
It's funny you would say that, because that would be the first thing I'd say is when I think of your band, I think about how many times you have played downtown, outside, inside, with 98 Rock. All the stuff you've done here over all the years. Man, you're a band that if I'm a fan, I can reach out and touch and see every 6 months, and I know that that's been something important to you, and over the history of the band, there have been a lot of members in and out and different stuff, but the one thing for you is you're a workhorse, man.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. I mean, when you're doing this for a living, you gotta be on stage. I mean, that's the way it is in the rock game nowadays. You can't just sit home and collect checks. It's not like that anymore. So, anyways, I really like to work, and the live performance is the best part about this job.
Well, you say it's not like that anymore. I mean, I think of you, I'm an older guy, right? So, I think of your band as being of the next era where there weren't a whole lot of CDs and there weren't a whole lot of, radio that was built in and all of that stuff that Guns N' Roses and in the Hammerjacks era that I come from, back in the 80s where those clubs and all that sort of stuff was set up, especially for you, was doing it maybe a little bit more on the fringe. It wouldn't have been in the middle of all of that commercial sort of success to make it work and make it work over the course of time, being out on stage and touching the fans and having a way to touch the fans in the modern era. I don't know that you were ever set up to think that like checks were going to roll in with royalties. I don't know that your era ever believed that, right?
Well, we started in 1999, it's 20 years in the game for us on this record, So when we started, we weren't mainstream at that time. It was like a lot of rap rock and what I call like nerd rock, shoegazing bands like the Weezers of the world and that category. And, we really haven't been mainstream our whole career, and we've managed to have this amazing longevity. And I'm so grateful for that. And it's a testament to our work ethic and passion. We put a lot into our craft, and we have these loyal fans that keep coming to multiple shows, and it's grown over the years, and it's just, it's amazing.
I'm always interested in what artists, as we age and get to, you're 20 years with a band, putting songs together. Why Warpaint? Inspiration behind that, and where you are in this journey out playing rock and roll for everybody, all these years later.
Warpaint? Why Warpaint?
Yeah, the inspiration to have a title and to write the songs that you're writing right now at this point in your life.
Oh, yeah, well, Warpaint was a song on the record, and it was already a song, and we wanted to come up with a great record title. I love one-word record titles, and Warpaint just kept circling back around. We threw around a bunch of names, and we just thought we could do a lot with the imaging and the artwork, and that's really important, and the song's great, so that's really all it was about, and we worked really hard on this record. We wrote over 30 songs for a 11-song record, and really paid off. It's very reminiscent of the songwriting cycle that happened before the 15 record drop.
I'm a music fan first, and I sometimes I get to talk to some rock and rollers and musicians and people who do this over the course of now 3.5 decades. And this month, I'm featuring all these old conversations with David Bowie from the 80s, and Billy Joel's coming to Baltimore. So I'm putting all this Bon Jovi, all this kind of stuff. And I think one of the fascinating parts through all these years and bands that stay together, like as a fan, you want to go see a band and see the original members the way it was in 1990, whatever, 80, whatever. I saw the Stones a couple of weeks ago. studio down in D.C., and I think it's neat when people hold it together. But I'm at the age now where I've worked with different artists, you know what I mean? And I can't imagine still working only with the people I knew when I was 19, even if I loved them and I had been, you know, through all the wars with them or whatever. For you as an artist and where you are and having members in, members out, and there's always he said, she said, sometimes it's money, sometimes it's art, sometimes it's I don't want to go on the road. But there is something fresh about working with different people, is there not?
Yeah, well, I have no control over that, you know. I can't decide the decisions people make, you know, and what people I don't think understand is through all the years, the people that have left Buckcherry left on their own free will. They quit, you know, and there's nothing I can do about that except keep moving forward. I started this band from nothing, so, you know, I have a huge part in all the songwriting that's been written for Buckcherry. So it doesn't bother me because every time we've had a lineup change, it's only made the band better, and we've only gotten to new heights, and that's all that matters. I just keep focusing on my outcome, you know, and that's to have a huge body of work and make my mark, you know, and that's what we've done.
Well, it's something healthy about having people around you that actually want to be around you, right? I mean, literally in any walk of life, right?
Exactly. At the end of the day, I just want people to be happy, you know, and if being in BC isn't where you're at the time, then I understand that.
What keeps this thing going for you and gets you up every day and getting on and off of buses? Because, I mean, it's a different kind of life. And I think for most people, if it's what you've done, it's all you know and it's the way you make your living. But what do you love about it at this point in your life, Josh?
I still love to perform. I still like writing songs. I'm still inspired by the live performance and watching people's emotions change when we come on stage. I mean, that's inspiring to me, you know, and that's something I dreamed about when I was a kid, you know, and music still is the only thing in my life that consistently makes me happy. So that being said, I mean, you know, I'm going to keep doing it.
What do you listen to? What inspires you and gets you writing these days? I found it hard for a long time to get into new music. You find yourself listening to the stuff that you like, but stretching out a little bit in the modern. Do you see other bands out there doing what you're doing that you dig? Because I'm sure you get on festivals and you see all sorts of stuff out on the road, right?
I got to be inspired all the time. You know, I'm always listening to songs. I'm going, you know, I'll listen to old artists and old songs, and then I listen to a lot of new artists, you know, a lot of pop, a lot of hip-hop I like, you know. I'm just into great songs, really. And quite honestly, you know, it's hard for me to listen to new rock. It's just, it's not that interesting for me, you know. So I go to places where it's still dangerous, and that's what I like. That's why I like hip-hop so much right now. I just feel like it's really the genre that's the best right now, and you can see it in the sales and everything. You know, the hip-hop artists right now are the new rock stars, and so hopefully that'll change at some point. It'll shift, but I think a lot's got to happen.
I love your danger reference, you know. I mean, first time I heard Crazy Bitch played on the radio, I'm saying there's a lot of danger in that, you know, just in general, right?
Yeah, for sure, that song. And, you know, we've always stuck to our guns. We never conformed to any kind of record label, like, you know, censorship or anything like that, you know. I mean, because when I grew up in Orange County, California. All my records were independent records when I was a kid. So all these bands were saying what they wanted to say about their lives and what they were going through, and they were being very honest. And if I didn't have those records, it would have been tough for me because I really related to that kind of stuff. I didn't relate to the mainstream rock that was going on at that time because it was just so G-rated. It was tamed down, and it wasn't my life. So I'm grateful for those bands that did that, you know. And so one thing that I always wanted to do when I started was be honest, you know, be honest about where I'm at any given time when I'm writing a Buckcherry record, you know, and that's part of our charm, and it's worked for us and against us at times, but Crazy Bitch was one of those moments where it really worked for us.
Well, I've seen you a couple times, and I'm looking forward to you guys getting to Baltimore next week. They're playing Baltimore Soundstage on the 17th. Josh Todd, nice enough to pull over on the side of the road in Cleveland, of all places, in the middle of summer, and give us a call here at WNST and talk some rock and roll with us. Josh, keep up the great work, man. I appreciate the danger, appreciate all the music and the sing-alongs, and I hope that you get a residual for every time Crazy Bitch is played inside of an adult entertainment establishment on the pole. And you know what I'm talking about, right?
Of course I do.
Hope you get $1 for every time it's played and retire rich.
That would be nice.
Take care, brother. Appreciate the time, man.
All right, buddy.
Josh Todd joining us here from Buckcherry, Anaheim, California. They've been better than the Angels in late, but maybe not better than Mike Trout. Probably similar, but appreciate Josh Todd stopping by. We got a world of rock and roll conversations out in the BuyAToyota.com audio vault with all sorts of rock stars going back to my Hammerjacks days, Red Hot Chili Peppers. I just mixed down Peter Buck from REM because they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. My Paul Stanley sit down at the Hyatt, down at the Dulles Hyatt after the Patriot Center show. Little Heavens on Fire, and Paul Stanley and I chatting for an hour. All that stuff's going to be in the BuyAToyota.com audio vault. Mike Campbell from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Now I got to say Mike Campbell from Fleetwood Mac, right? But all that stuff's going to be in the BuyAToyota.com audio vault. You will hear it in the third week of July after Buckcherry's here on the 17th. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST, Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking Baltimore sports and a little rock and roll.